I'm recording this quick video while I clean up the mess that is my sewing table because I have let a lot of things go since October when I was getting ready for a craft fair and having a few moments of mourning from the election. But my biggest reason for posting this video, like I said, while I clean things up, is because I don't want you to lose heart. My grandparents on my mother's side were dyed-in-the-wool Republicans. I'm not really sure about my dad's side. I want to think they might have been Democrats, and I think that's only because they lived in Seattle during the Great Depression and went through a lot of stuff. So I'm thinking they might have been Democrats. Oh, notice my shirt. Anyway, so I was explaining to somebody I work with, one of the young people I work with, that I've voted since 1979 when I turned 18. And my first presidential election was 1980. So if you know anything about history, you know who was running then and what was going on. And actually, I was a freshman in college during the American hostage crisis. So I've seen a lot. You know, I didn't have to be born in the 30s to have seen a lot go on in our history. But having said that, don't despair, okay? We've been down this road before. Maybe not with somebody like he who shall not be named, who is clearly not all there, and who is supported by people who basically are waiting for him to fall by the wayside so they can take over. Let's be real about it. I'm not being crazy about this. That's more than likely what their hope is. And that's really sad. And that is his kids included. I think that's really sad. I mean, if my kids thought so little of me that they were waiting for me to move aside so that they could take over my vast empire, that'd make me really sad. But apparently that's not how their family works. But I don't know. I don't know them personally. My point again is, don't despair. Things are going to right themselves. They always do. People who thought the gas prices were going to drop and who thought that grocery prices were going to drop are not going to get what they wanted. The wealthy may get wealthier. That's kind of how the world works, unfortunately. But those of us who do a pretty good job of staying within their means and not living lavishly will probably be okay. Those who don't have anything might not be so okay. And those, again, who have a little bit and who are trying to get back on the right side of the black-red equation might not do so well. But not to be naive, not to be a Pollyanna, but we have to think beyond money. And this is the inherent problem with elections, whether it's Congress or president. People think with their pocketbook. Now, I vote with my pocketbook. I don't buy from companies that I believe are unethical. I do my best. I can't 100% do it. It's almost impossible this day and age to survive. But I do try to be as responsible as I can when it comes to where I put my money. Even when I was making six figures, I still tried to be as very, very conscientious as possible about where I put my money. But you don't have to have a lot of money in order to make sure that you have what you need. And that's from somebody who was barely living paycheck to paycheck and had maybe $20 left at the end of my paycheck for several years after I got a divorce because I was paying off someone else's debt and I was trying to help support my sons and working 2.5 jobs. So I know what that's like. I've lived in my car, almost been on the street. I know what it feels like to have that happen. I've also lived a lavish life at times where I wanted for nothing. But I wasn't raised that way. I was raised by people who believed in make, do, and mend. We didn't have a lot when we were kids, but we really didn't know we didn't have a lot. My parents did their best to make sure that we were fed and clothed and we got to do activities, and maybe not everything. We didn't get to go skiing like some of our friends and go on fancy vacations, but we still lived a pretty good life. And my parents, for the most part, gave us good values to take forward into our adult lives, especially my mom. She was steadfast. She did not give in. She did not give up. And so I carry her strength with me every day, and I try to give it to my sons. So I want you to take that strength forward. And I want you to remember that you don't have to fight this, but you can resist stuff that goes on. You can put your money where it matters. And if you don't have a lot, you can give time. And if you don't have time, well, then just do the best you can to be kind to each other. That's what we can do right now. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. That's one of the things I learned from being in a 12-step program. Don't try to script your life. Don't try to look at tomorrow. Look at today. And I don't think that's a naive way of looking at life, because I can't control anything beyond the tip of my nose. After that, it becomes license. And when someone tries to control me, they're violating my space. I'm not going to say rights, but I'm going to say my space, because there are a lot of things we misinterpret as rights and things that we think we should have, which we've been lucky to have, but maybe they're not our right to have. And at the same time, I think we all deserve to be happy. We all deserve to have food on the table. We all deserve to have clothes on our back and a warm place to live at night. Not everybody has that. So if we look beyond our own pocketbook and look at what we can give, which is time and patience, and resist things that aren't going to help the rest of the world be in a good place, then I think we'll be all right. But if we get angry with each other and we, don't at least listen, then I think we're going to be in trouble. And when I say listen, I don't mean you have to sit there and listen to misogyny and listen to people that want to take rights away, people that want to abolish the Constitution, people who want to give freedom to those who have broken the law, very clearly broken the law. I don't mean that. I mean people that maybe are on the edge and they're not sure. Listen to what they have to say, and not with the intent of changing their mind, but find out where they're coming from. You might realize that they have their ideas because of the way they were brought up, because the way they lived their life, because of circumstances beyond their control. That gives us ability to at least understand where they're coming from. We don't have to agree with them. That's the difference. We don't have to agree with somebody just because we understand what they're saying. And that was a lesson I learned from my dad. It's just because I don't agree with somebody doesn't mean I can't understand where they're coming from. So let's move forward. Let's not forget what happened, but let's move forward and let's see if we can, and I believe we can, right the ship and come back to an even keel. That's all I've got to say, and I hope it was helpful to somebody out there. Have a great day as best you can, and give love and comfort to those around you. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring.